How does a brightly lit, standard multi-camera living room set become the staging ground for, like, one of the most agonizing pieces of psychological warfare in television history?
Oh, that is a fantastic question.
Right. Welcome to another deep dive on Off the Record. We're absolutely thrilled to have you joining us today. Usually when we sit down to analyze narrative structure on this show, we direct our attention toward these sprawling, serialized prestige dramas.
Right, the really heavy stuff.
Exactly. We
Mm.
look at the $50 million budgets, the sweeping cinematic vistas, the grim anti-heroes, and, the dragons. Always the dragon. And we expect those shows to be complex. We demand that they challenge us. But today we are turning our analytical lens towards something far more insidious and, frankly, far more brilliant in its mechanical construction.
Absolutely brilliant.
Today, our mission is to meticulously deconstruct one of the most culturally significant and perfectly engineered half hours in television comedy history. We are diving into the source material of Everybody Loves Raymond, Season 6, Episode 5, titled Marie's Sculpture.
A classic, a total classic.
It really is. It originally aired on CBS on October 22, 2001. And the fundamental question we are going to explore with you today is exactly how a simple sitcom, operating within the seemingly safe, predictable confines of a laugh track and a three-walled set, avoids the broad, cartoonish tropes of its genre to turn ordinary family discomfort into an absolute masterclass in psychological tension.
It is an incredibly pertinent question, and as always, it is a genuine pleasure to be back here on Off the Record with you to unpack it.
It's great to have you.
Thank you. So to truly understand why this specific half hour of television operates so flawlessly, we first have to establish the historical and mechanical context of the show itself. Everybody Loves Raymond built its entire critical and commercial reputation on character-driven conflict and a very specific, highly calibrated brand of awkward realism.
Yes. Awkward realism is the perfect way to phrase it.
Right. Because unlike its contemporaries on other networks, this was not a program concerning wacky, situational misunderstandings that could be neatly resolved in 22 minutes with a heartfelt apology and a hug.
Oh, definitely not. No hugs here.
No, it was a show about the inescapable, suffocating, and often deeply petty weight of family dynamics. And the source material we are examining today, Marie's Sculpture, it provides the ultimate pristine case study for this overarching thesis.
The absolute peak.
It demonstrates exactly how a veteran writing staff and a brilliant stage-trained cast can escalate tension to an almost unbearable degree, utilizing nothing but a standard suburban living room set and a single piece of abstract art. It is, structurally speaking, a chamber piece of anxiety.
A chamber piece of anxiety. Wow, that is a fantastic way to frame it. And what makes it so lethal is that it starts so innocently.
Exactly. The setup is key.
The genius is in the slow burn of the premise. So let's look at the setup provided in our notes. The premise is incredibly straightforward. Marie Barone, the matriarch, the absolute emotional dictator of the family.
Dictator is a very strong, very accurate word.
She takes a sculpture class at the local community center. And quite unexpectedly, for a woman whose entire identity has been wrapped up in culinary superiority and maternal guilt, she discovers a deep, profound passion for abstract sculpture.
A true creative awakening.
Right. She experiences a genuine artistic awakening. So she brings her creation home and she summons the entire family over to her house, Ray, Deborah, Robert, and her husband, Frank. And the expectation, the entire driving force for this gathering is that she wants admiration.
She demands it.
Yes, she is explicitly demanding emotional validation for her masterpiece.
Precisely. And the episode spends its initial act meticulously building this expectation, and we have to deeply analyze the power dynamics of the Barone family to appreciate the stakes being established
The
here.
stakes are so high.
They are astronomical. Marie is not a character who typically asks for validation. She assumes it, or she extracts it, through highly sophisticated maneuvers of passive aggression.
Yeah, she weaponizes guilt like nobody else.
Exactly. But here, the writers introduce a fascinating paradigm shift. She is presenting something she genuinely created with her own hands, something outside her domestic wheelhouse, which means she's actually vulnerable. For the first time, she is seeking approval rather than demanding submission.
Okay, wait, I have to push back on that slightly.
Oh, go ahead.
Because I think the concept of Marie being vulnerable is exactly the trap the writers are setting for the audience and the family. Here's an analogy for you.
I love your analogies. Let's hear it.
Think about the social dynamics of a kindergartner coming home from school, right? They hand you a paper plate, It is covered in dry macaroni, an excessive amount of glitter, and it's just a terrible, structurally unsound, messy macaroni painting.
Right, a typical childhood craft.
What do? You gasp, you feign absolute astonishment. You say, "Oh my goodness, it's beautiful. We are putting this right on the refrigerator."
Of course you do.
You do this because the stakes of honesty are zero. It's a child. Their ego is fragile. But here, Marie is an adult. She is the matriarch. And she is weaponizing that exact same expectation of unconditional praise, but with the terrifying authority of a parent.
Oh, that is wow.
If you tell a kindergartner their art is bad, you're just a monster. If
Wow.
you tell Marie Barone her art is bad, well, you are looking at decades of emotional retribution. So is she vulnerable, or is she just wielding a new weapon?
That is a brilliant counterpoint, and I think it actually deepens the analysis of the mechanics at play.
Mm-hmm.
If we connect this to the broader sociological concepts of the family unit, the setup is effectively a powder keg of emotional obligation.
A total powder keg.
It's a beautifully distilled illustration of the social contract within a suburban family.
Mm.
Jean-Jacques Rousseau argued that we surrender certain natural freedoms to exist within a functional
Yeah,
society.
Rousseau. Yes. Bring in the French philosophers.
Right, because within the Baron family, the social contract dictates that you are summoned, you must attend, and you must praise.
Yep.
You're contractually obligated by blood and marriage to support the matriarch's foray into the arts, completely, regardless of the objective quality of the art itself.
Completely regardless. Quality doesn't matter.
Exactly. And this is how the writers manipulate the audience. We are placed in a state of high anticipation. Based on the established rules of sitcom narrative structure, we know the sculpture is going to be problematic.
We feel it in our bones.
The friction, the comedic tension, comes from waiting to see how it will be problematic and exactly how the family will fail to navigate this suffocating social contract. It is an expertly laid trap, and the match that lights this powder keg, of course, is the physical reveal of the sculpture itself.
Exactly. And wow, what a match it is, because this is where the episode transitions from a standard family conflict into a masterclass in visual comedy. The physical reveal.
It's iconic.
The family is gathered in the living room, the tarp comes off, they look at it, and they were completely universally horrified. Because, as our source material notes so delicately, the sculpture unmistakably resembles a giant vagina.
It does. It really, really does.
It really does. And the reason this works so incredibly well is the blocking and the pacing. The visual comedy operates on 3 distinct concurrent levels.
Walk us through them.
First, the audience recognizes the shape instantly. Boom. The visual punchline lands in the living room before a single line of dialogue is spoken. Second, the actors are visibly struggling not to laugh, which adds this incredible layer of meta tension. And third, Marie remains totally blissfully sincere. She has absolutely no idea.
Yes, the sublime dichotomy of human perception. It really is, it's just a phenomenal construction. The mechanics of that specific moment are worth unpacking in detail.
Please do, because it's genius.
You'd have a multi-camera setup. Usually the lighting on these sets is very bright, very flat, designed to eliminate shadows so the viewer can clearly see the actors' faces.
Right, standard sitcom lighting.
But when you introduce a three-dimensional, heavily contoured, anatomically explicit sculpture into that perfectly flat, sanitized environment, the visual dissonance is staggering. You have the creator of the art existing in a state of pure, unblemished innocence, standing right next to the consumers of the art, who are instantly plunged into a state of sheer, unadulterated panic.
Total panic. It's so funny.
The contrast between Marie's absolute earnestness and the family's terror is the central comedic engine of the episode. And I want to stress to you, the listener, that we must elevate our understanding of this beyond just a simple, crude visual gag. It's actually a rather profound statement on subjective reality and semiotics.
Semiotics. Okay, walk us through that. Explain the semiotics for the listener who hasn't been in a university literature class recently. I know I haven't.
Certainly. So semiotics is the study of signs and symbols and how they are interpreted. In semiotics, you have the signifier, which is the physical form of the thing, and the signified, which is the mental concept it represents.
Okay, signifier and signified. I'm following.
For Marie, the signifier is this sweeping, abstract plaster shape. And the signified is modern art, George O'Keeffe, or creative liberation.
Right, she sees a masterpiece.
But for everyone else in the room, and for the live studio audience, the signifier immediately maps onto a completely different signified. A highly explicit anatomical signified.
Very explicit.
Art is entirely in the eye of the beholder. Marie sees a magnificent abstract form. Her family sees an undeniable biological form. And the comedy stems from the fact that neither side can articulate their interpretation to the other without destroying the social contract we just discussed.
Right. I mean, objectively, it looks like a vagina.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
objectively.
Yeah.
But philosophically.
Philosophically, it still looks like a vagina. Huh. It's the beauty of it. It's inescapable. And, speaking of the different interpretations in the room, I've been obsessing over this all week.
Oh, what is it?
We have to talk about Frank Barone. We have to talk about Peter Boyle.
Yeah.
Because out of all the reactions in that room, Frank's it is just the absolute greatest thing.
It is brilliant.
Think about the blocking. Everyone else is actively panicking. Ray is physically trying to shrink his body mass into the carpet. Debra looks like she is experiencing acute gastrointestinal distress. Robert is probably doing that weird, nervous neck-touching thing. But Frank
is in his own world.
Frank finds it genuinely hilarious. He completely, instantly sees what it is, and he just sits there in his chair, barely concealing this immense bubbling amusement. He is just soaking in the chaos.
He really is.
And the reason I think Frank's suppressed laughter is the absolute pinnacle of the scene is because it perfectly, wordlessly encapsulates his entire 40-year marriage to Marie.
That is an incredibly astute observation. The micro-expressions Peter Boyle uses there they are masterful.
Right. Because he finally, after decades of being criticized and belittled by this woman's demand for perfection, he finally gets a moment where she is completely undeniably ridiculous.
The tables have turned.
Exactly. She is parading around a giant anatomical sculpture, demanding praise, and she doesn't even know it. And he gets to just sit in his armchair and quietly, privately enjoy her accidental humiliation. He doesn't even have to say anything.
He just watches it unfold.
The universe has handed him the ultimate victory, and he is just savoring it. It's just beautiful. It makes me so happy.
It is a masterstroke of performance by Peter Boyle, absolutely. He effectively represents the release valve for the audience's tension. In a multi-camera sitcom, the live studio audience acts as a Greek chorus. Their laughter guides the viewer at home.
Like a cue.
But here, the audience's laughter is mixed with a genuine gasp of shock. So the tension in the room is palpable. While the rest of the family represents our collective anxiety about breaking the social contract, Frank represents our pure amusement. He becomes the internal audience surrogate in that moment.
He's all of us.
The dichotomy, the sublime dichotomies I mentioned earlier of perception. Because really, when you deeply examine the semiotics of the sculpture, it's not just anatomy. It's a literal representation of the origin of life, right?
Oh my God, yes.
And Marie, the mother, the matriarch, is proudly presenting it to her grown sons. I mean, the Freudian implications are absolutely staggering. It is a masterstroke of multi-layered comedic engineering. It's just brilliant. It really is.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we have to talk about Doris. Doris Roberts.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you can't have this whole dynamic, you can't have the Freudian implications or the semiotics or whatever without her. We have to talk about Doris Roberts right now.
Yes, of course. Doris Roberts, the linchpin of the entire narrative construct.
Because, okay, so the whole thing completely hinges on her performance, her absolute unwavering confidence. Because think about the mechanics of acting in a comedy.
It's a delicate balance.
If she winks at the audience, if she plays it even slightly, even for a fraction of a second, like she knows what the sculpture looks like, the whole episode collapses, the entire premise shatters.
The illusion is broken.
She has to play it with absolute 100% conviction. The sincerity is what makes the irony work. And nobody wants to tell her the truth. That's the honesty debate. That's the absolute core of the episode right there.
Right. The honesty debate. This raises a genuinely profound question, doesn't it? Is honesty always the best policy within a familial structure?
I mean, I don't know. Is it?
The episode brilliantly splits the characters into ideological factions regarding this exact ethical dilemma. On one side, you have Ray, whose primary defense mechanism is total regressive avoidance. He wants to literally flee the physical situation to deny its existence.
Run away. Just run.
And then on the other side, you have Robert and Debra, who engage in this intense, almost academic argument over whether they have a fundamental moral obligation to tell Marie the truth. It is incredibly dense, ethically speaking. It is fascinating.
It is. It really, really is. And Ray, I mean, let's look at Ray's avoidance strategy for a second. Because Ray he's all of us, isn't he?
He's the everyman.
When you're confronted with something that uncomfortable, something that fundamentally threatens the peace of your existence, you just want to run away. You don't want to hurt your mother. You don't want to look at your mother's abstract art.
It's too much to bear.
You just want to sit on the couch, watch sports, eat a sandwich, and pretend the universe isn't collapsing around you. Ray's instinct to just let the delusion live, to build a fortress of denial. I mean, I think that says so much about the human condition.
It really does speak volumes.
We are all just terrified of conflict, aren't we? We just want to avoid the hard conversations.
Yeah.
We build these massive walls of silence to protect ourselves from the agonizing, blinding truth of, wait, what was I saying? I totally lost my train of thought. I was talking about Ray's walls and running away.
You were talking about the human condition, which I have to say is a brilliant point. You always make these absolutely brilliant points about the emotional core of these things.
Thank you. I try.
But if we connect Ray's cowardice back to Robert and Deaver's argument, it really elevates the entire premise. I mean, they are effectively having a high-level philosophical debate on the moral weight of truth right there in the kitchen.
Right in the kitchen.
It's Kantian. Is truth an absolute good, as Immanuel Kant might argue with his categorical imperative? Must we always tell the truth regardless of the consequences?
I mean, Kant would probably hate this family.
He would.
Yeah.
Or is the preservation of Marie's dignity, the utilitarian approach, a higher moral imperative? And what is truly staggering, what I find just endlessly fascinating, and I could talk about this for hours, is Marie's reaction to their awkwardness.
Oh my gosh, yes. Her reaction.
She misinterprets their discomfort. She genuinely thinks they're just jealous. It's incredible. The writers constructed these massive, impenetrable psychological layers of defensive delusion.
It's wild. She's so deep in it.
She genuinely, truly believes that their inability to look at her sculpture is born out of artistic ignorance and envy.
Yeah.
It is, I'm telling you, it's Shakespearean in its tragicomedy.
Yes. Shakespearean, exactly. It's like, wait, no, it's actually absurdism. You know,
Absurd.
it's like Samuel Beckett. It's exactly like Waiting for Godot, but instead of a barren wasteland, it's Long Island. And Godot is a giant plaster anatomical thing sitting in the living room. And they are all just trapped there.
But wait, hold on a second. Earlier in the show, we were very specifically discussing the show's hallmark of awkward realism. That was the whole thesis. Now we're moving into absurdism. How can it be a pristine case study of realism if it's fundamentally absurdist?
No, listen to me. It's both. It's realistic absurdism because life itself is absurd. Families are absurd.
Okay, I'm listening.
Think about it. Really think about it. They are standing around in a perfectly normal house, lying to a grown woman about a piece of plaster because they are too emotionally repressed to say a simple biological word out loud. That is the peak absurdity of the human experience.
What, when you put it like that?
And the truth, you can't hide it. The truth is like water. It always finds a crack. It always slips out. You can't put the truth water back in the truth pitcher. You know what I mean?
The truth pitcher.
It spills. The truth pitcher tips over and it just spills all over the living room carpet.
The truth pitcher. The truth pitcher. Oh my goodness. That is, wow. That is quite the metaphor.
It wasn't my best. I know, I'm sorry. The truth pitcher, I don't know where that came from. It's getting late.
No. Wait, I see what you're doing. I really do. The pitcher holds the water, but the cup is the family, and the water is the abstract shape. No, wait, that doesn't work either. The cup is too small for the pitcher.
It totally doesn't work. It makes absolutely no sense, but you get it. You get the feeling of it, right? The feeling of the water.
I absolutely get the feeling of it. It's the pressure. It's the hydrostatic pressure of the unspoken reality, and it has to release. Which brings us to the climax. Okay, let's look at the climax structurally.
Yeah.
Let's regain our footing here. We need to be professional. This is the deep dive on off the record. The climax of the narrative structure.
Yes. Professional. Structurally. The climax. I am ready. Go ahead. Lead us through the climax. I am focused.
Right. So the truth finally, inevitably, slips out. The avoidance strategy completely fails. The Kantian moral debate is rendered entirely moot by the sheer crushing pressure of the secret. Someone cracks.
They always crack.
And Marie's reaction is exactly what they all feared from the very beginning. She becomes deeply, profoundly offended. She's embarrassed. The veil of delusion is violently lifted, and she is forced to see the sculpture through their eyes.
It's devastating.
And the fallout, the episode concludes with this intense emotional fallout, this incredible rapid-fire sequence of passive-aggressive exchanges and deeply wounded pride. But then, and this is the absolutely crucial part, the part that makes it a masterpiece, the family returns to their dysfunctional equilibrium. That's the exact phrase our source material uses. Dysfunctional equilibrium.
Functional equilibrium. Dysfunctional equilibrium. Wow. I really, really need to sit with that phrase for a second. Dysfunctional equilibrium. That is just...
It's a very powerful phrase. It captures the essence perfectly.
It's the most beautiful description of family life I have ever heard in my entire life. Dysfunctional equilibrium. Because that's what it is, isn't it? That's what we are all doing. Every family.
That's the universal truth.
You fight, you scream at each other, you harbor deep resentments, you make a terrible, inappropriate sculpture and bring it into the living room, someone cries, feelings are shattered, but then what happened?
You reset.
You have to eat dinner, you have to pass the mashed potatoes, you settle back into the groove, you find your balance on the wobbly share of your life. It's so beautiful. We're all just out here every single day trying to find our dysfunctional equilibrium. I just think people are so brave. Families are so incredibly brave, just waking up every day and doing it all over again, knowing it's going to be a disaster and doing it anyway.
Oh my God. You are so right. You are so incredibly right. It is genuinely profoundly moving when you put it like that. I mean, returning to the baseline, just getting back to the baseline, is the true tragedy and the true comedy of the human experience.
It is. We just want the baseline.
We think we want to change. We go to therapy. We read books. We think we want these massive emotional breakthroughs. But really, deep down, we just want our dysfunctional equilibrium. We just want the safety of the pain we already know.
Yes. The safety of the pain.
That is classic Raymond fashion.
Yeah.
The writers, those beautiful writers, they understood that real life doesn't end with a neat resolution. It ends with exhaustion. It ends with a heavy sigh and a commercial break. It makes me a little emotional, honestly. I'm tearing up a bit thinking about how perfectly they captured that mundane, everyday tragedy of just existing with people you love.
Me too. I'm getting emotional. I am. I have goosebumps. Because it's just so deeply true. And you know what else is true?
Yeah. What is it?
I just love doing this podcast with you. I really, really do. This is the absolute best part of my week. Sitting here on Off the Record with you, talking about real things, important things, like art and truth pictures.
Oh, stop it. You're going to make me cry more. I love doing this with you, too. You always bring so much heart to the analysis. I get bogged down in the semiotics and the structure, but you see the humanity. You see the beating heart inside the multicam setup.
Yeah.
It's a gift. You have a profound gift for understanding people.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You're my favorite abstract sculpture. So, okay. We should talk about the legacy, to wrap this up. The legacy of Marie's sculpture. Because it's been over 2 decades, over 20 years since this half hour of television aired. And it's still so unbelievably relevant.
It holds up perfectly.
The research says it routinely tops best episodes lists everywhere. It's in all the major sitcom comedy rankings. And it is universally considered the perfect intro episode for new viewers.
It is the perfect intro episode.
Oh.
Unquestionably.
Yeah.
Because it captures absolutely everything in one perfect capsule. The cast chemistry, the escalating embarrassment humor, the blocking, the tension. It is the comedic peak, the absolute undeniable summit of the entire series.
The absolute summit.
When that tarp comes off, it's not just a joke anymore, it's a cultural touchstone. It's a moment of shared collective discomfort that fundamentally binds us together as a viewing public. We all gasped together.
Exactly. It binds us. We are all bound by the sculpture, the giant plaster you know. And so to wrap this up, to finally land this plane, I want to leave you, the listener, you beautiful, patient listener, with a final thought, a profound thought to carry with you today.
Lay it on them.
Because we've talked about art and we've talked about truth and mothers, but maybe the real lesson here is that out there in the world, in the big, messy, complicated world, we are all just abstract sculptures, you know?
Wow.
We're all just these weird, lumpy, misunderstood shapes covered in a heavy tarp, just waiting for someone to walk up, pull up, and finally see us for what we really are and not laugh.
Yes, we are. We're all abstract sculptures. That is, I'm going to write that down. That is the truest thing anyone has ever said on this show. We just want to be seen. Even if we look like you know exactly what we look like. We just want to be loved for our confusing biological truth.
We do. We really, really do. Thank you so much for joining us on Off the Record. This has been incredible. I need to go lie down on the floor for a while, but thank you. We love you guys. We really do. See you next time.
Thank you. Stay safe out there, you beautiful abstract sculptures. Drink some water. Goodbye.